All right, February day. I think this is the 1st. So this has been sitting around for a long time. I figured I would clean it. It's just a small little, Coleman PowerMate Pulse 1850 portable generator. We'll clean it off, and then we'll put it over on the clean line since, it's February and it's freezing. But since I have everything out, and this is going to be up next anyway, we'll see if it's any good. So let's get it cleaned up, and we'll see what this thing looks like when I get started on it. All right, I'm going to bring it over on the clean line, give her a nice cleaning. I only took this cover off and the other cover. And we'll see what turns up. The pull start, we'll know when we get this off, which is going to be a little bit. And since we can't turn it over, right, we don't know if the motor is dead. So we don't know anything about it yet. And as promised, I'm out here on a cold February, I think it's the 1st. And we're still cleaning, and I figured I'd give you guys an update. The Tiander Mr. Leant's pressure washer is still going strong, and it's actually a perfect machine for doing small engines because the pressure isn't too high and you don't want to damage anything, and you just simply do not need, all of that cleaning power for something like this. If I had my bigger pressure washer, I would have to turn it down. I'd turn that pressure down. Okay, we got the foamy on there. It's a Briggs motor. Let's let that set up. I'm going to come back in a little bit and just brush the plastic because it's really rank. But it's not that bad. It really isn't. Spray a little bit more of the liquid, spray, and in a few spots, and then I'll wash it. We'll let it sit up. Super clean. Get yours now. Available at local stores. Gotta get the tank off, get at least this section off so we can get to the motor. It's got a Briggs motor. A little Briggs motor. I want to find out what that is. Let me break into this thing. All right. We already got the sides off so I could clean it a little bit. It's a little gacky, but I think it's clean enough. There's no critters in it. Let's get started. All right, the cover was pretty loose. The bolts down here were still on, but they were loose. The bolt up there, which is only one, holding this on, that was not even tight. The motor, I don't know if it's got compression. It's not seized. All right. It's got the wrong plug in it. Doesn't feel like it has compression. It has a little bit. I feel it right here. All right, let's get this top off, right, this tank, because I can't get it to plug. I don't know if you can see that in there, but it's the wrong plug or whatever, because you can't get a socket in there. You can't get it out. I think what we'll do then is we're going to see if we can get it to kick and see if it does anything. Nuts, anyone? This I don't like. That this bearing here, or this surface here for the bearing on this end, is held up by that roller bearing in there and this plastic piece. That's a problem. Can we just take this off and see if the motor runs? Or what I want to do, I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a little lubricant back in that. Clean this out. so that we can run it, okay? And then we'll have to take it back off again. But we need to get the gas tank out because there's puke in it, and I can't get to the top without the gas tank out. So let me fool around a little bit more. I see here that there's like no gap. Very, very little. I don't know if it's loose or what's going on with it, but there's no gap. It may not spark. You can kind of feel it hitting. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of compression. I think I'd like to just spin it over real quick just to see if she kicks.
Ooh la la.
Right, the gas tank, it's got these, like, I don't know what you would call it. It's like additional material over here to sort of like feet to like lock into the bracket. The chassis, everything is all bolted together. And then that's how the tank gets like sandwiched in. It's a nightmare, okay? But I don't know if that's going to spark. I don't think so. We'll put a little bit of fuel in it. And a little two-stroke and a little bit of this. All right, and let's just see if it kicks at all. What can I do with this? This is not working out. Yeah, here we go. Just to keep it out of the way. A little bit more juice. A little bit more spray. Just a quick kick. Like I said, hopefully it doesn't all come shooting apart. Let's see. I'm going to be in your way. Sorry. I don't know where I'm going to move you. Let's try it like this. Okay. We don't have any power. We don't have any alcohol in it. That needs to get reset. The tank needs to come apart and be cleaned. All right. We have one that's a runner. She ran all right. I don't know how to get this apart. Like, we need to get this tank cleaned out. There's junk in it. And I need to get that plug out. And, ooh, what the fuck? Yeah, that's nasty. Did you hear that? It was like rattling like a bastard. Like a snake. It was like, shh. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get this top off. All right. Before we go any further, I got a regular incandescent bulb plugged in. I tested it. Let's do the same thing again one more time just to see what it does. If the bulb lights up, then maybe we got a shot. Again, a little bit more two smoke, and a little bit of this, and let's see if she makes any power. All right, ready? All right. She's gonna need oil and everything. She's got like no oil in her. All right, let me keep looking. So as I'm cleaning up and removing some of the parts, getting stuff clean, we're ready to pull the carburetor off. And before I even put, a driver on it, look. So, yeah, that would not run. And I pulled out, where is it? Some puke out of the tank. This is the puke in the tank. And I really would like to get that tank out. There's like an oily film, and see, like everything is connected together. Like this is the muffler bolts. Good chance that might break. Then you have all these wires and everything, but we don't have to take it off all the way. So let me see. We'll poke around. Let me do the carburetor now, and then we'll come back to that. I hate to do that because we really need time for this tank to dry. If we rinse it with a hose and some super clean, I can guarantee it will be clean. So I'll pull the carburetor off, and then we'll take a peek at this and see if we can kind of sneak that tank out. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. This is pretty nasty too, but this is gacky. Well, I was going to put some super clean on it before I start taking it apart in case it's any good. So we'll see. It's like a weird cross between a regular Briggs carb and some different body design. Okay, it wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't terrible. I got the tank off. We just got to clean in here a little bit more. We're going to take this off. We'll clean up in here a little bit more. Maybe I'll try and bring it outside before I do that, right? And blow it, if that's possible. or maybe give it another rinse. It's pretty naggy, so I might just give it another rinse. Bring it outside. Do I have? Yeah, I don't want to do the hose. I really don't want to do that because I don't feel like, well, I'm lazy, right? Now, this is what I was saying, like you can't get any kind of socket in that. We got to change that plug and see what else we can use. Most of them will work. It's a small engine. It doesn't need anything all that big. So we're doing good. All right, I'm going to keep working on that. The tank is cleaned. It's outside, drying in the sun. It had a lot of gack in it. I feel better now as well. So we can cover a lot of issues this way. All right, I got my little mini hose out, and I hit it with some nice super clean. Yeah, I'm getting it on. I got the regular super clean first, get everything wet, and then the industrial super clean foamy, and we'll just kind of leave that sit. I got the mini hose, and I just set this up over here. We got our weapons, and I'm gonna go finish my brake. Come on, about 10 minutes. I'm going to get started also on the carburetor, which that looks a lot cleaner. And then we got these guys, they're dry now, right? These I just rinsed off in my sink, and I blew them. Everything looks good there. You know, a lot of this stuff is sealed, so you don't have to worry about it. That's all good to go. We'll put the cord on that. This tank should be dry. Turn it that way now. Let it sit. I got most of the, we'll replace this fuel line. I don't like this. That's getting a little cracked, but it should be okay. So we'll replace this line and this switch. Carburetor looks real good. Just some sediment, just a bit of junk in the bottom. Same thing here, plus a little bit of water that we added and whatever other gack was in that tank. Let me get that cleaned out. We'll get the jet cleaned out. I'll get it all back together again and check it out. And the machine's outside, you know, drying, so we'll be able to put this together. I think it looks pretty good, right? This is all cleaner. I got that top off. We'll just wipe out the inside a little bit. These were all loose, all these head bolts. So that got tightened. Even the plug was getting loose. Everything seemed to be like rattling apart. I'm going to put another plug in. I'm going to go to a different size plug, mostly because there's no way to get this plug out. There's just not enough room in here for a socket. All right, so I'm going to service that, then we're going to service this. We're going to re-gap it and clean all this off, and we can slowly start to put stuff back together. Now, the little bolt up here that holds the top of the pull start cover or the blower cover, it's just one bolt up here, and that was loose. Of course, everything was just falling apart. All right, so I always make sure I clean off the posts, right, because you want a good connection into you know, the electrical connection into the block, right? So you could shut it off, you have a reliable connection. This need to be tightened. The other one, not so much, but it was probably leaking out of here. That'd be my guess. It's definitely leaking some oil. Could be this seal. I don't feel any excessive wear here, but I'm gonna give it a better, you know, put a better hand on it in a minute. I like to clean off all of the parts of the coil that are going to contact, you know, for grounding purposes. Put a little bit of lubricant on the screws. I'm going to gap this about 10 or 12 thousandths. I also like to put a little bit of chain wax on all of this stuff so it doesn't rust up so fast, and it'll stay nice and adjusted for a long time. And oh, this thing really needs a service. I mean, for sure. Let's see. All right, that's done. Let's check for our compression next. All right, so it's good. We got 10 thousandths gap here. I put some tranny fluid mix in the hole. And by the way, this was actually hitting. I think I mentioned that earlier. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we have anything. If I can do it with one hand. If not, I'll come back. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, let me see. Let me check it out and I'll tell you what it is. All right, so I got it between 55, almost, not quite 60 at the low speed, which is not bad. I don't see any leaking on the gasket. But so it's tightened down. So I think we're good here. And let me think about how I want to start putting it back together again, right? I need to fix the pull start. We need to get a pull cord on it.
The next day.
All right, I welded a washer on there because that one was completely torn out. Of course, while I'm here, I welded a washer. All right, it's down there. I can't show it to you yet. And then this has got to be torn out. Something going on there. Let me weld another washer on there. We'll bolt this on. And then this looks all bent down here. So I'll take this off, straighten it out, and put it back. I've got the new pull cord in. I had to take everything apart to fish this out. And then I decided to replace this whole pack here because, you see, that spring is all borked. So I like to keep these. Look, you can see how it was. I couldn't use this one because it's a little bit different, but it's a standard 3.5 horsepower Briggs. So I stole the coil pack out of it. And I think we're going to be okay now. Let me get this on. I can put all the rest of the stuff away. We pop a plug in that so I don't get any weld splatter in there. And then this will be tight and it's not going to come off. Thing is though, like you can't take this off without taking like everything apart. That's just the way this is, right? I didn't design it, but let's get it all back together so it's tight and it's not going to come loose again. Because if it runs really good, whether I wind up with this or somebody else buys it, it's going to be a nice piece. Couple little bracket issues. You know, something's got bent, but all that's on. Doesn't open up the throttle very far, but that has a lot to do with, we have to tune it. We have to make sure she's going to put out like 120 volts. All right, I think we can start putting this piece, this big piece back on. And then as we pull everything together, I just threw this bolt in here for now. So take that bolt back out, right? It's kind of sandwiching everything together. We have to fit the fuel tank in at the same time. So I'm going to go work on that. And I want to replace this. I think I'm going to replace this fuel line. It's pretty beat. This is starting to, this grommet. We can get new ones of those, but why don't we, this is hard as a rock. So let's get rid of that. So if you remember, this is pretty nasty. Put some grease in there. I had covered it with a plug before I washed. This is much nicer. I had to glue the circuit breaker down. That's all I can do for now. It does work. I checked it. And these are all clean. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to wash it. You can't leave it dirty, all that sand. And then I found the ferrule, which was kind of jammed behind, fortunately. And so I glued it up here. And I also put a little glue on the threads and pushed it in. So that shouldn't go anywhere. And I think maybe what we'll do is we'll put a little WD-40 or something in all these, right, before I put it on. So let's put it on now. And this is all ready to go. So I have the two bolts. You get a bolt here and a bolt on the underside, and then these bolts here, which bolt to this. Turn the light on. So I think we're all good to go here. All the contacts look good. All this got cleaned up nice. It's been, what, like a day later or so? So this is all dry. Plug is in it. We got to connect the fuel line a little bit. So now it's time to put the sides on. All right, close this side up, and then it's supported, and it'll be wired and closed. And so the fuel tank is back in, and it's clean. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit when we go to test it. All right, a little bit of oil in it, and a little bit of gas. I spilled a little bit of gas as I tilted it the wrong way. So we got it on, we'll put it on choke, and let's see what it does. See if it stops. Nope. All right, something's wrong here. Okay. So, it might have been running out of fuel, but it ran, but we got something wrong with that switch, and we don't know what else is going on. Let me take a peek and see if I can get it started again, just to run a little bit longer. It sounds like I didn't put a lot of fuel in it, so it might be running out. There we go. That's good. line. That's nice. All right, I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit. It's gonna blow a little smoke because I've been turning it around. I put a little piece of wood underneath the underneath a good section of the engine and everything, and then there's still two pretty decent rubber isolators in the front where the power head is. So I spilled a bit of oil doing that. We're gonna put about 1,000 watts on this thing once it's warmed up. That should be enough to just get a better reading. I also lowered the RPM adjustment just a scotch before, well, it was the end of yesterday, so before this test. So let's get it started and see what happens. Alright, I let it run out of fuel, which now allowed it to run a long time because the fuel line is pretty long. She ran real good. She's a little bit high, 63 hertz, without any load, but once she with that adjustment that I made, once I put all that load on it, and you could see she responded to it, that was loading it down. We were at 120 volts, about 59 to 60 hertz. That's as good as you can get, especially for a simple generator like this. It's very nice, very simple. It does have a 12 volt output here for charging batteries and such. I don't have that particular connector, but probably you could get one or make something. But it's done. I changed the oil last night before I finished up, so I didn't want to do a test with the old oil in it, so we got good oil in it. And that extra piece of wood should help. Not this piece, it's a piece down here. So I'm going to go put it away, and we'll take some pictures of it, and that'll be the end of it. I'll see you guys later.